I don't see my role as just doing finance. I see my role as owning the outcomes. That means that I don't just stay in the finance lane or consult with the tax expert or the risk expert and stop there. I'm always asking one question. What's really going on here? Let me give you a simple example. This is something from my personal life. A few months ago, my water bill was just really high. I couldn't figure out why, as a finance person does. I went through and I calculated how many showers we're taking, how much irrigation we're doing, and determined that we were way off. There was no way we could be using the number of gallons that I was seeing on the water bill. So I did just what you do, right? You call a plumber. He came out, he looked at everything, tested the gauge, and then he did determine that there was three toilets that were leaking. Made sense. I said, okay, that should help. Let's go ahead and fix it. Next month passed, looked at the water bill. It was still high. I then called the city. They come out, they test the water meter. They said there's no water being lost anywhere. At the end of the day, I still had a high water bill that no one could explain. I hadn't given up. I just hadn't found the answer. I knew that there was something going on. At one point, I called a sprinkler company, and he found that the gauge for the irrigation was leaking outside, and that's where the water was running out. And I didn't know this, but the outside irrigation isn't connected to the inside plumbing. This is how I see it, as taking complete responsibility over this problem. I did consult with the plumber. He ruled out certain things. I consulted with the city. They ruled out certain things. At the end of the day, I still fully own this problem. And it's up to me to keep searching and integrate all these different perspectives until we find the final solution. We solve the problem by integrating all of these different expert opinions and really owning this problem all the way to the end. Here's how I process situations like this. I trust the data that we're seeing over the assumptions. I use experts, legal, tax, but I don't depend on any single perspective. I stay with that problem until it's fully resolved. And the key there is looking for what's not immediately visible, because most expensive problems in business, they're not going to be just obvious out there for you to see. They're somewhere beneath the surface. You need questions, you need long pauses, you need these conversations to uncover the gaps and see the areas that no one is truly owning. How this shows up in my work, and this is exactly how I operate with clients, is that I'm not there to just review the financials or give surface level advice. I'm there to understand how the whole system behaves, the whole operation, how cash flows, where decisions are creating some friction in the team or in the business itself, where risk is being overlooked, where opportunities are being missed. I connect all the inputs from all different people, accountants, the business owner. I listen carefully. Without the integration, you can have a lot of activity and doing things, but really you're still lacking the clarity that you need to move forward. That's how I approach finance. Is it's not a function, but a system that needs to be understood, aligned, and driven forward. And this way of thinking is not limited to business. I think about what's most important to me, or at the very top, is my health. This is how I think about health. I consult with experts. I may go to this doctor or this practitioner to help me, but I'm taking ownership of my well-being, and I integrate all these different inputs to make decisions on the full picture of my well-being, because I am responsible for the outcome, how I feel, how I live, and how I move through life. If there's one thing that defines how I operate, it's that I don't stop at partial answers. That's where real clarity comes from, is defining and creating that system. That's where better decisions come from, and that's where meaningful results are created.